Evening, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday night presentation. It's so nice to see so many new names, not faces, because I can't see everybody's faces, but if you'd like to turn on your camera, we'd love to see you. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Merle Westcott. I am a Senior Presidential Director in LifeWave, and I live in Durban. I joined LifeWave in December 2022 after a friend, Candice Donadell, showed me a YouTube of David Schmidt, our CEO and the inventor of all our products, talking to healthcare professionals. And I have been in complementary therapy for the last 30 years this year. And so it made perfect sense to me. And so I jumped into Patch, but told Candice and George, who is in Spain and who's her sponsor, that I was never going to tell another person about LifeWave because I didn't do network marketing anymore because I'd done it before. And going into COVID had been disillusioned because I was involved with a travel company. Anyway, X39 completely changed my life, this little tiny little patch. Within a week, I had a result. So I'd injured my shoulder in 2012. And a week later, it was much better than it had been since then. And I had done tons and tons of chiro. And that doesn't mean that I don't still go to the chiropractor, because tonight I'm presenting with my chiropractor, Dr. Mich Seagreen. And I didn't know her when I started patching, but I did go to the same practice that she practices out of. So when my shoulder improved, I told a friend who phoned me to complain about her shoulder, not knowing that I was patching. She just phoned me because she wanted someone to complain to because it was 3 months and she hadn't been able to lift her arm above her head. She couldn't play tennis and she was so frustrated. And I said, well, I found this incredible little patch. Let me get some to you and let's see what happens. And she was what we call a one patch wonder. She had a result within 23 minutes of putting a patch on. And the rest is history, because after that, I did start telling people, but reluctantly to start with. But the more results that I saw, the more I realized that I had to tell other people because I would be doing them a disservice if I didn't spread the word. So I'm going to hand over to Mich so she can introduce herself and tell you how she got into LifeWave and the differences made in her life and her practice. And then we will go into the presentation. So over to you, Mich.
Thanks, Merle. Welcome, everybody. I am, as Merle said, a chiropractor in Durban. I was introduced by Dr. Kathy Mercer, another chiropractor and a colleague of mine, and I was very skeptical, and I thought it was a bunch of hocus pocus. And it took me about 6 weeks of listening to her, chatting to her, watching some of these Zooms, getting onto a site we'll tell you more about later. I went through case studies, I did all sorts of research, and then I had a patient that I was struggling with. I could get her 80% better, but I couldn't get her all the way there. And I spoke to Kathy, and she said, well, this is what it would possibly do for her. And so I thought, okay, let's look a little bit more. And then I met Merle for the first time properly. And we chatted, and she stuck an Eon on me so I could feel what something would look like, what it might feel like for me. Still a little bit iffy, but I decided to give it a go. And for me personally, I am now more physically active than I've been for many, many years. I play tennis. I can now play tennis 4 or 5 times a week without any issues. I had a knee that was broken is the correct term, I guess. I used to play tennis very slowly with a big brace on my leg, and now I don't. I just play normally. I play singles now, which I would have never have thought of doing before. Um, I had a bald patch on my head, and that's growing out quite nicely. And I also have eczema, which flares occasionally, but I have now had numerous eczema-free days for the first time since I was 18 months old. So that's my biggest change. In my practice, I've used the LifeWave product successfully as pain relief in a few patients where they've had rib fractures or things like that that I cannot actually, fix, unfortunately. And the pain will go down from like an 8 out of 10 to almost a 0 out of 10 and fairly quickly. And that's been a bit of a life changer where I can help people that I didn't have a hope in helping before. So it's really, really nice to add that string to my bow. I think that's good for now, Merle. Shall we go ahead with the presentation? Thanks so much. So when we started this call, Merle asked a few people if they'd been on one of these presentations before. And those of you who haven't, you probably have not been patched as yet. And so a lot of us have been patched, and we have felt this patch really elevate, activate, and regenerate our lives in numerous ways. So I hope you enjoy the presentation, and we can't say much more about it without introducing David Schmidt. He is a remarkable man. I saw this week that he now has 200 patents out there. He is a scientist and inventor, and he specializes in age reversing, amongst many other things. In 2008, that was slap bang in the middle of me having my two babies, and that is when they started coming to the hospitals and asking you if you wanted to harvest your baby's stem cells so that if they had diseases down the line, they could treat those diseases using those stem cells, et cetera, at a remarkable fee. But that is when David focused his attention on stem cell research, and the latest patent, well, not the latest patent anymore, but the X39 patent that we're going to talk about tonight, that took 10 years and $4.5 million to bring to market. So a lot of time, effort, and science went into that. So this is the specific patent that we're going to discuss tonight. And most of you will know that a patent has to be proven. If you say it's going to do X, you have to show that it's going to do X. You can't, you can't fake a patent. So what I love about this patent is it describes exactly what this X39 patch can possibly do for you. So as a result of elevating copper peptide, including activation of stem cells, improvements in energy, elevation of antioxidants, reduction in inflammation, management of pain, improvement in stamina, elevation of collagen production, and improved wound healing. So that is what the patent says. And it is absolutely remarkable. We're just going to go a bit more in talking about how it does these things. So this particular product is called X39. It's a stem cell activation patch. Why stem cells? Well, stem cells are the base that your entire body generates from. When you were in the womb, that's how your body became, as a simple little stem cell. And that stem cell changes to become heart, liver, skin, whatever cell it is. The unfortunate thing is the older you get, the fewer active stem cells you have, and you begin to age. At age 30, about half your stem cells are active, and at age 60, many of them have lost stem cell activity. And it does change with how you've dealt with your body over the years, but through the main, you know that when you hit 60, 70, 80, you don't heal as well as you once did. And that's as a result of reduced stem cell activity in your body. So how does that X39 work? Well, it is a form of light wave therapy. Just like the sunshine helps your body to turn vitamin D, sunlight into vitamin D, it's that kind of light wave therapy. But what David Schmidt has done is he's taken a little patch and he's put a little nanocrystal lattice into that patch. And you always emit some light off your body. You can see it in those night vision goggles. And that low-level light is reflected off that structure in the patch back into your body at a specific wavelength. And that activates GHK copper peptide, and that activates the dormant stem cells in your body. And then those little stem cells go to where they need to go to heal your body, wherever it may be. So for me, my knee is better now, my skin is better now, my mind is better now, and that's all as a result of the little stem cells reactivating in my body. So the thing is that you need to remember from the slide is that the patch reflects your own body's light to activate. Only light goes into your body, nothing else, no chemicals, no stimulants, it's non-invasive. Basically, that little patch will not cause anything. I mean, like someone else said, it's my body's light coming back into my body. How simple is that? How awesome is that? So what is this thing going to do for you? Let's have a look. These are the benefits that I've certainly found, and most people will feel this within 90 days of wearing these patches. You will feel increased strength, mental clarity, reduced inflammation, restored muscle skeletal conditions, increased stamina, improvement of sleep. I had my first best dreams that I've had for many years when I started patching. Energy and vitality and improved skin appearance. So the X39 really does help your body achieve optimal health, a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. You feel a lot better, more positive. It is absolutely remarkable. Okay, I love this slide. It's a topography map. They've taken an image of a lady's brain before and during and post patching. She was 77 years old. She was somewhat confused. Her brain was hyperactive. So you can see that in session one, there's a lot of red and orange, and that says that the brain was letting off a lot of heat, and that is inflammation. They put X39 on her then, and after 3 weeks of being on X39 at session 2, you can see there's no more red. So that brain is nice and calm. She had improved brain coherence. And session 3, that calmness had continued. She had better brain coherence. There was a complete turnaround, and her brain remained calm after wearing the patch for 6 weeks, which is remarkable. Okay, so X39, what is the long-term result that you can possibly expect on these patches? And you can find case studies showing all of these claims that we've listed here, and you can find it on thisisatinfo.com. Within the first few days, 4,000 genes begin to reset. Now, with a lot of your diseases that you get as you age, it happens when genes are triggered. And when these brand new stem cells start to reactivate, they are very helpful in replacing those trigger genes. And so your genes begin to reset. Within 6 weeks, the brain becomes balanced. You saw that on that map. Within 3 months, your collagen is increased. Now, many of you possibly on this call have been ingesting collagen because you know how good it is for your body. And we know that collagen can help reduce your wrinkles, it helps thicken your skin, but it also supports your organs, blood vessels, and so on. So you really do need more collagen in your body for overall health. And within 6 months, your heart reverses in age. So David Schmidt says that this is not anti-aging technology, it's age-reversing technology. And I've seen this in my mom, where people have been asked her why she's looking younger. So she's been on it for about a year now. So how do you wear the X39? You wear it 12 hours on and 12 hours off. So one sleeve of patches has 30 of those little patches in. So you put it on in the morning and then you take it off at night when you go to bed. Go through the night without wearing a patch, and then the next day you put a new one on. If you do have a partner or a dog or someone, you can put the second-hand patch onto one of them, because there's a little bit of life left in the patch, but to get the best wear out of it and to give your body the time to repair and rejuvenate, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. Then throw it away, put a new patch on and repeat. At the beginning of the call, I mentioned that I use patches in my practice. I use the pain patches, which are called Ice Wave, and I use the anti-inflammatory patches, which are called Eon, and you can use those patches at the same time as the X39. So someone with severe pain could use the pain and the anti-inflammatory, and then use the X39 to achieve healing and to try and reverse the reason for that pain. And when you're patched, always drink plenty of water and also take electrolytes, because you need to give the body the stuff it needs to do its work. And in fact, when I put my used patch on my dachshund, and she sleeps with it on, and then in the morning, the first thing she does is go to that water bowl, and I know that the patch has been doing some work on her. Okay, so X39, you've heard it seems so sophisticated, but it's simple to explain. It uses your own body's light, it activates your own body's healing mechanisms, and the testimonies of X39 are life-changing and emotional. It absolutely works. And I love it. I love the journey. I love seeing the improvement in people. Merle, are we going to ask someone or have someone volunteer to give us their stories?
We can ask for volunteers, but I can see two of our ladies with cameras on who always have stories to share. So Caroline is smiling so nicely. We can always start with Caroline because Caroline has got her own story and some of her patient stories.
Yeah, hi, I'm Caroline. I'm Danish. I live in the UK and I'm a homeopath. And I got introduced to patching just a little bit more than a year ago. And like everyone else here on the call, I suspect the first initial kind of thoughts were, can this really be true? Is it safe? You know, all these questions that you might have when you're introduced to a new product. And when I'd done my due diligence and spoken to lots of people and also had people hold the patch in their hand and feel how it felt, I was really convinced that I was dealing with something really extraordinary. And in fact, I took the patch to my kinesiologist, who said, I can't believe the difference in you when I test you with the patch and without the patch. So that was really interesting as well. Anyway, I was keen to sort a very stiff knee out that I'd had for a long time. And I had some arthritis coming in my hands as well. I could feel my neck was getting stiff. So just general wear and tear. I'm 66, and it was, I guess, what could be expected to a certain degree for my age. And that was another reason for me being interested in the stem cell activation. And within, well, I was not a first time patch wonder or whatever we call them, first patch wonder. I didn't actually feel anything for a couple of weeks. And I think that's important to remember that a lot of us will have to wear this patch for quite a while before we get an effect, all depending on what kind of issues we have to deal with and how much repair we need to do in our bodies. By about 3 weeks in, though, I did suddenly think I'm feeling very, very rested when I wake up in the morning. And then I realized I was actually sleeping through the night for the first time in a long time. Not just sleeping, but deep sleep. And like you, Mich, was saying, you know, you remember your dreams when you wake up, which is unusual. And I suddenly thought, well, I'm also not sleeping better because I'm not so stiff in my neck. And I used to have to wake up at night and actually lift my head to turn my head because my neck was so stiff. And and even though I had really lovely pillows from Denmark, but anyway, it didn't help. But the patch was starting to work its wonders because I could feel that the pain was going away. And within about 3 months, or maybe slightly less, I was able to bend my knee again. My fingers were not stiff. I didn't have that pain. I didn't wake up with pain in the night. And I could squat back to, I could squat, which I hadn't been able to do for like 5 or 6, maybe 10 years actually, because my knees were just that, they felt like they had some kind of stuff inside them. I couldn't just properly bend them. That was gone. And so I was then completely hooked. I just started experimenting with all the different patches, and I just feel that it's something I do not want to stop. I can see improvement in so many other areas as well, like softer skin, and nails growing faster, and all these things that we would love to have as a side effect as well. But my main thing is that I just feel less pain. I feel more energy, and I sleep better. And those are my three big, big, big pluses that I just don't want to be without. So I can share other stories, but I also want to let someone else talk. There's both Amanda and Nori here with pictures on. So
Cindy
maybe.
first.
Oh,
Thanks so much, Caroline. But
you're
Cindy
welcome.
Wadebe has said that her mum has a testimony to share. So Cindy, we'd love to hear from you. Or your mum. I'm not sure who's going to talk. I saw Cindy's camera on a minute ago. You just need to unmute yourself, Cindy.
Am I on?
Yes, we can hear
Am
you
I
now.
unmuted?
Yeah, you're
Okay,
unmuted.
good
We can hear
evening,
you.
everyone. I'm not sure if my mom will be able to talk. I just text her now, but she's listening. Well, my mom is a nursing sister in one of our busiest hospitals in South Africa, and she's been suffering with her pelvic and she's supposed to go for an operation, but she had a major operation in one on her right leg last year, and she's living on chronic meds. She's suffering from osteoporosis as well. She has quite a number of health issues. So she is on quite a lot of medication, and she is living with pain. Now, due to the number of pills that she is consuming, she has been complaining that her eyesight is gradually fading. Sometimes when we text her at night, it's hard or difficult for her to see the text messages. But she started patching last week, Tuesday. She has a blurry vision. She just texted me now. She has a blurry vision, but ever since she started patching last week, Tuesday, she called me, she was so excited. And she said, Cindy, I am able to see the phone at night. I can chat to you out wearing glasses. And we were so happy. And her pain is also gradually reducing. She's currently on X39, but I would love to maybe check other alternatives, because she's on constant pain, but the pain is much better, and it's only been 7 days been patching, but she can see a huge difference. She's also supposed to go for a number of operations. um Her spine has problems. She needs to go for the operation of the spine. She also suffered from constipation. The constipation I'm sorry.
Don't stress,
The
Cindy.
constipation is yes, it has improved, but I know she has to go for about maybe 4 more operations. But we are hoping that now that she started patching, she won't have to do that. The constipation is gone, and her eyesight is improving. The pain is much better. Remember, she has screws on her feet,
And
on
only
her
7
right
days.
foot, just next to the ankle. Yes, within 7 days.
So
There's a huge difference.
so
Maybe next week, Tuesday, she will be brave enough to
next
speak.
Wednesday, and then
But
she'll be
thank you
2
so
weeks
much.
in. But
We are glad.
Cindy, thank you for sharing,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah,
know
we are so excited.
it's so exciting. And what I would suggest, and I know
Yeah.
Mich would too, is that if you can, you add Eon along with that X39, because your mom has a lot of inflammation.
Yeah.
And the Eon will drop the
Yeah.
inflammation and allow the stem cells to work faster, because now the stem cells are addressing the inflammation first.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that's
No,
what we would
noted.
recommend. That's
Yeah, but we excited, and we are so happy to be part of this amazing team in
thanks,
this
Cindy.
product.
We're
We are
so pleased you
grateful.
shared, and hopefully Mum will share with us next week.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay,
Thank
Amanda's
you.
camera's off, but
All
Nuri's
right.
camera is on, or Joseph's camera's on. Joseph, are you ready for a testimony? I think we'll
Not
go
yet.
come to Nuri. Not yet.
I think next week I'll be ready.
Okay, perfect.
Let's give me
I'm
that till
waiting
next
for
week.
you, Joseph. Okay, Nuri.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just first of all just like to welcome Jackie to the meeting. She's recently just joined Lifeway from Boss Babes Network, and I'm actually going down to Cape Town to do a presentation for her in the second week of April. So congratulations, Jackie. Looking forward to that. And also with regard to a testimonial, my biggest thing for me really is that as a health professional, I looked for years for the answers to menopause. And at the age of 64 was getting progressively worse and worse, with brain fog, with fatigue, with chronic frozen shoulder, neck pain, leaky gut, joint pain, and of course, hot flashes. And much to my delight, I used especially the X39, the glutathione on the SP and the SP6, and that helped a lot with my hot flushes, with my frozen shoulder, brain fog, and I had loads of energy from being chronically fatigued most of the time. And also noticed an improvement in leaky gut because I was able to tolerate milk much better, where I used to immediately get sinusitis if I had any milk. So that completely changed my life, just to know that I'd found the answer to menopause, because otherwise I thought this menopause is going to go on for the rest of my life and it's making me sick and tired of being sick and tired. So here's to my frozen shoulder. It goes right up to the ceiling now. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much, Nuri. And that's great. That's a great testimony because so many women are battling with menopause or perimenopause. I'm wondering, Mich, do you think Linda Linda, will you share? I don't know if Linda can share because her camera's not on, but Linda has a whole lot of things that she can tell us. Maybe not. Amanda? Oh no,
Hi.
Linda's unmuted. Hi, Linda.
Hi. Sorry, my camera's not on. Yes, I've recently just been off the patches for a couple of days. I've been patching for a year, and I can honestly say in those few days that I wasn't patching, my arthritic hands, which were totally 100% gone, all the pain, the deformity is still there, but the pain is gone. And just by going off patches for a couple of days, I kept on giving my patches to everybody else who I felt needed them more than I did. So that's just something interesting that we need to keep up, because, one gets to a certain stage and you think, well, that's sorted. So my arthritis has really been a huge game changer, especially in my hands and my hips. Also, sleeping better, having so much more stamina. I've said before, the park run, I ended up taking 20 minutes off my park walk, park run, just through X39. I'm a nursing sister, so I run a lot during the day, but don't get time to exercise. So that for me was a huge improvement. And yes, pain relief with broken ribs has also been an enormous plus in our old age home. We've had a lady who twice Mich and I have patched post falls and got immediate response to her fractured ribs. And the only pain she experienced was when she coughed. And for those of you who've had fractured ribs, it's something excruciating and takes weeks to actually start healing. So yes, I can go on and on, but X39 is something that I will not live without. And also in shingles, recently I've just lost my mum and had quite a lot of stress and had shingles break out on the side of my temple region. And yes, I did go on the antivirals after about 5 days, just because it was so close to my eye. But it honestly went nowhere in the time that I thought it was a spider bite, and thinking my big glands in front of my ear and in my neck were from the spider bite, until a doctor said to me, no, that's definitely shingles. And honestly, I had no pain, just 2 or 3 quite big blisters on my temple, and it honestly went nowhere. Within 5 days, it had started healing. So yes, I could carry on forever, but yes, patching is going to be a part of my life forever. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Linda. And it's always nice to hear from Linda because she doesn't just patch herself, she patches a lot of her oldies in the old age home with incredible results. It's always nice to hear those. Amanda, were you going to share? Do you have a new story for us?
No, I don't actually have a new story. I'm just very excited. I can just maybe tell the new people that I was a one-patch wonder who had serious COVID and my symptoms disappeared within 2 hours. I thought I had a good sleep, but it was actually, everything was just perfect. And I've been patching regardless of the fact that I was a one-patch wonder. I kept on patching because I learned from all these testimonies that the longer you patch, even though you don't see it on the outside, you get results in the inside. And just recently, my husband and I went for blood tests, and it was shown on the blood test that my kidney functions have improved, and they halved his thyroid medication. So that was just amazing to see that these things happening. You don't see it on the outside, but in the inside, things are happening. And I'm very excited about that, to see what's going to happen if I'm patching for 2 years. I mean, what's going to happen then? I'm going to be very, very young then.
Thanks, Amanda. And I think that's so important, because often we think nothing is happening, or people say to us nothing's happening. But if you do blood tests, you can see the changes. And I know my thyroid also improved in the first 4 months of patching, and it's carried on improving because I've been patching for over 2 years now. But I did my yearly bloods 4 months after I started, and we halved my tetroxin because of my bloods. But I didn't know, because when you're on medication, you feel fine. So I didn't actually know it had improved. So I knew other things, like I knew my shoulder had improved, and there were other things I felt and I could see, but I definitely couldn't see what was happening with my thyroid. And the fact that it's improved again, I've just done bloods a couple of weeks ago, and it's improved again. And now we didn't cut meds this time because it's gone more into the optimal range, which is obviously where you want it to be. So I'm going to go into Mich has got one more slide. Let's go back to that. And then I'm going to go into the business part of the presentation. So thank you, everybody, for sharing your testimonies.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It was good to hear from a couple of new people and new things as well from the old people. Okay, so please take a photo of this screen. This is the website that I mentioned to you before, where you can go and you can watch some videos. Some are shorter than others. The video that Merle spoke about at the beginning of the call to healthcare professionals is on the site. But there are also other videos that are brilliant to watch. And then the case studies are there, as well as the US patent is there, and some testimonials. You can spend a lot of time on the site or a little bit of time on the site, it's totally up to you. But if you're going to try the patches, then it's always a good idea to know more than just to enlighten yourself a little bit more. So yeah, we're at www.thisisitinfo.com. Go and have some fun.
Thanks so much, Mich. So I'm going to jump into the business side of the presentation, and I'm going to go through it very quickly, and then I'm going to give you a site where you can go, and if you need to know more, go and find out all about it in great detail. And of course, the person who invited you to the call can give you more information too. So when I joined, because I was never going to build a business, I didn't even look at the compensation plan or how old the company was or any of those things. I just listened to David Schmidt and went, okay, this is for me. And it definitely is. But when I started, when I started looking at LifeWave, which was in February 2023, we were a 19-year-old company. We turned 21 this year, so we're now a 20-year-old company, which when it comes to network marketing is quite something, because most companies don't make it past the first 3 years. We now open in over 80 countries, not just 75. And we're not a Me Too product. So if I come to you, or I came to you and I said, I've got a weight loss product or skincare or supplements, you could say I do too, but nobody else has X39 or any of our other products. And that is because we still have a long time left on the patent. So you saw when Mich was talking about X39, that it was patented in 2020. That means we've got 15 years left on the patent, so nobody can copy us for the next 15 years. Now, in 2021, the company did a $20 million turnover, which wasn't bad at all. But since then, we have grown exponentially. So in 2022, we did 320 million. In 2023, 430. Last year, over 600 million. And we're on track to do over $1 billion this year. So we've had phenomenal growth. Now, a company doesn't grow that much if they don't have a product that works. We also ranked for the second year in a row as the #1 momentum company on businessforhome.org, which is an American website that lists all the multi-level marketing companies. You can see we've had a 3,000% growth in the last few years. So that's quite something. And last week they had the awards when we got the award for this year. So we got it last year, the 2024 Global Bravo Award. We got the 2025 award as well. David Schmidt won the award for the most innovative product, which was X39 at the same awards. And we've moved into the top 25 listed companies in network marketing. So LifeWave is now number 22 out of the 25 top companies. And there are over 100 companies on businessforhome.org. So if you go and have a look there, you'll see all the companies that are rated. So having moved into the top 25 is quite something. And in this picture, you can see David Schmidt along with our president, Meredith Burkage, and then Stephen Gina Merritt, who started the This Is a Team, which is the team we belong to. So at this point in the presentation, we always ask you, what is most important in your life? So what is it that you're here for this evening? When I joined, it was just about health. So I wanted better health. But is it your family? Do you want more time with them or more time freedom because you feel like you're on that hamster wheel and you work all the time? I did that too. Do you want more security, whether it's financial security or security because you need better health? Would you like to travel? LifeWave has incredible incentive trips. So if travel is something that you like to do, the opportunities with LifeWave are huge. Or would you like less debt? And I think most people want less debt, or they would at least like to have their patches paid for. And if you want to patch and you want to have your patches paid for, we can help you to achieve that. And of course, if you want to earn a lot more than that, we can help you do that too. So we have an incredible compensation plan, which is getting started is as easy as knowing 4 people so that you can go manager. So we get paid several ways. We get paid by retailing the product if we choose to. I've never retailed the product ever. We can sign up preferred customers. I have some of them, which means somebody who never wants to work the business, but you give them a link, they purchase off your site, you get commission every time they purchase, but they get wholesale price. So they get the same price we do as brand partners. Then you can sign up as a brand partner. The person who introduces you is going to get something called the product introductory bonus, but you're not paying extra so that they get that bonus. You're paying for the product, that's it, and you are getting a website and you're getting a position on the binary and in the company, and you can start building a team. Now, if you want to go manager, you need to come in on what's called the advanced pack, but we'll talk about that just now, and you need to bring in 4 friends. Now, some people have done it in a day, some people have done it in a few hours, but you put 2 friends on your left leg, 2 friends on your right leg, and you open up the whole compensation plan, and you can start earning binary commission. Now, binary commission comes from volume. And what do I mean by volume? Every time somebody signs up, there's a volume associated. Every time somebody buys a product, there's volume. If a customer buys product, there's volume. And everybody above you benefits from that volume. And what do I mean by everybody above you? The leg that you come in on, you are not going to be by yourself on that leg, because your sponsor and anybody they've sponsored before you and the people who sponsored them, if they put somebody on that leg, they will drop down to the bottom. It's like those champagne fountains they used to have. So they drop down, and at the bottom, you start getting people coming in underneath you that you have never seen before, and you don't even know who they are, but they contribute to your volume. And that's what's so lovely about LifeWave. So you're in it for yourself, but not by yourself, because you have a team. On the leg that you start yourself, because always one leg you're going to start yourself, one leg you're going to have help with. The people you bring in, everybody they bring in, also contribute to your volume. So you have left volume and right volume. And every time you have 660 volume on one leg and 330 on the other, you get a cycle bonus, which is $50. And those cycle bonuses are capped at $25,000 a week for senior presidential directors. And there are many people who max that out every single week. So that's quite incredible. Now, we also have something called matching bonuses. Now, matching bonuses only open up once you're a manager. And what do I mean by a matching bonus? So let's use Nuri as an example, because Nuri is in my first line. In other words, I signed her up. So every time Nuri gets a cycle bonus, I get 25% of her cycle, but not of her money. She still gets her full $50. But the company says, Merle, you've done a great job. You've helped support Nuri. You've helped her build a business. So we are going to give you 25% of everything she gets. But however many people I have on my first line who are building a business and getting cycle bonuses, I'm getting 25% of every one of those bonuses. So some people might be getting 30 cycles, some might be getting 5, some might get 10, some might only get 1, but it all adds up. Now, the people they introduce on my second line, I get 20% on my second line. The people they introduce on my third line, and I get 20% on my third line. So this only goes 3 lines down, but it is unlimited. So there's no cap like there is on cycle bonuses. Now, of course, we can't guarantee what anybody is going to earn. It all depends on how hard you work. So how do you get started in LifeWave? I always say you get started by coming in where you fit in. So when I joined, I was never building a business, but I thought I'm not going to be a customer because that means I need a recurring order every month. I'm going to come in as a brand partner, and I'm going to come in on call because that way I'll have 3 sleeves of patches. David Schmidt says everyone should patch for 90 days, but of course I knew I was going to patch my husband too. I think he thought, okay, she's lost the plot again. What is she doing now? Because I've done all kinds of strange things over the years, but he is completely convinced that LifeWave works, and next week I'll get him on to tell his story again. But we each patched, and I thought, well, when we get into the next month, we'll have the third sleeve and we'll use it for 2 weeks each, and then we'll upgrade. Of course, a friend wanted it, and it was the only time I didn't even retail. I didn't know what I was doing then. I sold it to her. But I then upgraded to advanced. So upgrade means you pay the difference and you get the difference in product. If I knew what I knew now, I would have come in on advanced and I would have hit the ground running and told everybody about the product much sooner than I did. But obviously, we only discover what we don't know when we know it. But if you come in on advanced, it costs you $535. You get 6 sleeves of X39, so you're really getting a really nice discount. And you can replace any 1 sleeve of X39 for 2 sleeves of supplementary patches. So the SP6 Nuri spoke about, the IceWave and Eon that Mich spoke about, the glutathione, any of those patches are supplementary. X39 and X49 you can just do a direct swap for, but if you take an X39 out, you can replace it with 2 supplementary, and you are already getting that nice discount. If you want a lot of product, which would be like my local pharmacy, they patch people in the clinic. They started on core, they were very skeptical, only with Eon and IceWave. Within a week, they upgraded to premium because they saw what was coming out of their clinic every day as the sister started patching patients. She was into patching before the pharmacy got involved, so she knew what she was doing. They wanted a lot of product, so they then can get 20 sleeves of X39 at $87.50 a sleeve, or you again can swap any 1 sleeve for 2 products. And the nice thing about being on premium is you don't need to purchase product for 3 months. It keeps you active for 3 months. So it's a great package to be on as well. So what do I mean about being active? In order to collect volume on the binary, and your volume stays, it doesn't disappear as long as you stay active. Until you're a manager, you need 1 sleeve of patches a month to stay active. Once you're a manager, you need 2 sleeves of patches a month to stay active. So, for example, an X39 and an Eon, you can't have 2 of the cheaper sleeves. You've got to have an X39 and 1 of the cheaper sleeves, or 3 of the cheaper sleeves. But that will keep you active, and that will mean that you can max out the compensation plan for whatever level you are on. Now, that might sound like it's very confusing. What I would suggest, if you need to know all about the compensation plan before you make the decision to join, you go to thisisateam.com and you go to the compensation plan section and you watch Danny McDaniel explaining the compensation plan, and he draws it all out on a whiteboard and he spends an hour explaining what I've explained in 5 minutes. But I've given you an overview. My advice is get going. You've heard the testimonies. This really is about wanting to help people, and it's product driven. Go to thisisatinfo.com, have a look there. If you think the product's amazing, you want to be involved, jump in. Don't wait until you think you know all the science. You don't need to know it. In fact, if you come across to people as knowing too much, they're going to go, well, I can never do this business because I don't know as much as Mich. Well, she's a chiropractor. She knows all the science. So how am I going to tell people? I went out and told people how excited I was and told them stories. And then I pointed them to the information. And when I started, we didn't have this as at info.com. But you know what, we got through. And now we have the most amazing resources. So you can go there and you can see all the information. It's like buying a franchise and having all the information to go with the franchise. So everything is there, from how we onboard people, how we swap people, you know, the binary, we talk about left and right. How do you change from left to right? It's there in a 3-minute video. So you can go and look at absolutely everything. Any question you want answered is on thisisateam.com. We also have an incredible app called School, and on thisisateam.com, no, thisisateam.com, you can get the link to School, and you can go and register there, and it gives you a fast start. It gives you all the videos to watch to really get started. Now, we always say the time is now to make your move. Are you serious about your dream? What is your dream? We talked about the dreams at the beginning of this section. There is hope for your future. All you've got to do is get started with X39. And the pictures there are myself and my sponsor, Candace, with David Schmidt, who's our CEO and the inventor. He's the most incredible man. And then with Meredith, our president, and with several other people. And all these pictures are taken on a cruise in the Mediterranean, in Dallas at conference last year. And we really have traveled the world with LifeWave. And we're only just getting started. So thank you, everybody, for being on this call with us this evening. Thanks, Mich, for presenting with me. And if you have any questions, go to the person who invited you, and they really will give you all the information that you need.